Okay, so now I'm going to go over Joyce Choi's work, which was pretty highly ranked in the aesthetic category. And I'm going to talk about what I see happening in these pictures. So I'm going to shrink it down a little. The first thing that Joyce did, which I think may have contributed to them seeming aesthetically more appealing, but I think it's a little problematic, is so she went match to page or fill page with the image, which means that the image itself, unless it is 8.5 by 11, was actually cropped to make it so that the program probably did the cropping, which on one hand does make it neater, right? You've got this like clean white border around the edge. But I feel also that when you do that, it actually makes the picture form to the format of the PDF, as opposed to the photographer's vision. And I have this, when I have students printing black and white, they often fill it up to match the easel. And I'm convinced that you actually really have a better eye at the moment that you take the picture. Now, so I'm going to ask you guys not fill to the frame for the at least until the last assignment. And the last assignment, if you really still feel like this is how you'd like to express yourself, it's okay. But I'd like you guys to give it a try to not do that. But as you can see, it does have it does make it nice in a way. It makes it neat. So we have pizza with arugula, which this is the morning, so I'm not super hungry, but that looks really good. So aesthetics, it's funny because she ranks so highly in aesthetics, and considering how much visual aesthetics are a part of food is a really interesting thing, I think. And maybe it's something interesting to think of whether she ranked so highly because of that. So she's shooting from above. I think some of the things that I feel like could be this one works. This one is strong. I think this is very strong. It's much more evenly lit, and it's actually kind of appealing and then a little bit kind of disgusting. Like that meat down there looks like both appealing and disgusting, and it has this idea of if you look at your food enough, you'll be thinking, why am I eating this? Which I think is really interesting. Now this one is like, this one is, a square format. And I think, this one looks aesthetically super tight. It looks like very design oriented. It's like, could be like a Ray-Ban ad or a Fuji Polaroid ad or an egg ad or something. So it's super clean and tight. And this one I can definitely see being like aesthetically, like really top notch. And then this one, I think, I find the composition a little distracting right here, going off to the side, but she's definitely got this kind of like the color and the appeal of the food, and it's rendered partly because it's sharp. I mean, the sharpness and the color are really doing something. So she's also using a wide angle. So you notice with this picture how close we are at the front of the drink. It seems like it's almost spilling out on us. So it has this kind of alluring effect, and I'm assuming it's an iced latte is like pulling us in, and the pieces of ice are rendered. So all of that has to do with like playing on the aesthetics, right? Playing on our kind of like visceral response to it. I find that with this particular picture, oh, sorry to pull that up, I find the top part a little bit distracting though. I find that that the blue and the person in the shorts and all the people up there distract me a little bit from experiencing the picture. And also one of the things that I would like to see with this work is I'd like to see more close-ups and far away, more variation. And I think some of the compositions are like cropped in a way that makes me feel like I can't experience the food quite as seamlessly as I'd like to. Okay, there we go. Maybe I should have looked through before I started talking. I did, but then whatever. Anyway, so here, this is an example of a close-up where I'm like, you kind of can like start to delve into the food, and it also becomes something other than what it is. And that's super exciting about photography. So I think this one's really effective. But again, pay attention to the color. Several of you guys have this issue where the lighting on one part of the picture is one light color, and then you've got corners. You see the blue in the upper right corner, and it becomes a little, it distracts me from like really looking at what I want to look at. This one works. It feels like a little bit like an ad. The other thing actually that might be kind of a little bit problematic with this picture is the white on the white. And if we're talking about the aesthetics, the white of the, the white of the whipped cream or whatever it is, and then the white of that backdrop, they kind of fight with each other in a way, and my eye just ends up going into this neutral blah land. So I think thinking about that and thinking about how the whites, whether they work together or whether they work against each other to draw your attention, is something to think about in terms of the aesthetics of the picture. So how do the aesthetics kind of convey? One of the aesthetic things that's working really nicely for me is this like drip. So maybe it's like a mocha or something like that, that drip there. And then this one, ice cream cone, clean. I think it's actually not quite as, it feels like you don't have, it's not quite as dark as it could be. There's like not super black points. So I feel like this is a little faint. But the aesthetics, that it's very graphic and it's very clean, and I think that that's very appealing. So so I think this was a good example to start talking about aesthetics, and well done, Joyce.